Call the City Council meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Gina, would you start us off?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nina, would you please call the roll?
Councilperson Alvarez?
Here.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Here.
Councilperson Geishers?
Here.
Councilperson Clem? Councilperson Williams?
Here.
Councilperson Gully?
Here.
Councilperson Zilli?
Here.
We have the minutes from May 3rd and May 30th. Can we do those together, Attorney Whitten?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for May 3rd and May 30th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We have communications, correspondence, and announcements from the mayor. I have none, but we do have a proclamation. Deb.
City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana, proclamation to all whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas in June of 1969, patrons and supporters of the Stonewall Inn in New York City staged an uprising to resist the police harassment and persecution to which LGBTQI+ Americans were commonly subjected. This uprising marks the beginning of a movement to outlaw discriminatory laws and practices against LGBTQI+ Americans. And whereas today the rights of LGBTQI+ Americans are under relentless attack. Members of the LGBTQI+ community, especially people of color and trans people, continue to face discrimination and cruel, persistent efforts to undermine their human rights. An onslaught of dangerous anti-LGBTQI+ legislation has been introduced and passed in states across the country, targeting transgender children and their parents and interfering with their access to health care. These unconscionable attacks have left countless LGBTQI+ families in fear and pain. All this compounded has been especially difficult on LGBTQI+ youth, 45% of whom seriously considered attempting suicide in the last year, a devastating reality that our nation must work urgently to address. And whereas during lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersect Pride Month, we reflect on the progress we have made as a nation in the fight for justice, inclusion, and equality, while reaffirming our commitment to do more to support LGBTQI+ rights at home and abroad. This month, we celebrate generations of LGBTQI+ people who have fought to make the possibilities of our nation real for every American. And whereas this month we honor the resilience of LGBTQI+ people who are fighting to live authentically and freely, we affirm our belief the LGBTQI+ rights are human rights and recognize the achievements of the LGBTQI+ community and celebrate the great diversity of the American people. So I, Sue Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim June 2023 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and Intersex Pride Month in the City of Portage and encourage all our residents to eliminate prejudice whenever it exists, to celebrate our great diversity throughout the city, and to treat our LGBTQI+ neighbors with respect and dignity.
Eric, are you going to take a picture or are you going to come up? I'll stand by you because I was so tall. I was so tall when I stand by you.
Thank you.
Where are we looking?
This way.
Both ways. All right, that way first.
Which way are we? This way. There you go.
Thank you. I would like to invite Evangelist Brenda Morgan up to say the prayer.
Thank you, Mayor Lynch, for this opportunity to serve. Will we all bow our heads, please? Father, in the name of Jesus, Father, we just bow before your throne tonight, Father, just thanking you and praising you, oh God, for yet another day of life in which to live. We thank you, Father, for waking us up this morning and putting us in our right mind. We thank you for prospering our journey thus far, oh God. And Father, we just pray, Father, that if we have done or said anything, Father, that's contrary to your good and perfect will, Father, we pray that you would forgive us, Father, for our sins. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together, Father, as a collective body, Father, of government officials, Father, those that you have chosen and selected, Father, to be servants in the community. We thank you, O God, for their lives. We thank you, Father, for their commitment to service, Father. And we pray, O God, that you would just endow their hearts, Father, that they would, during the course of their duties, Father, that they would be loving, that they would be forgiving, that they would be merciful, Father God, that they would be humble, Father, and that, Father, that you would give them a wisdom, Father, beyond understanding, that they may execute these duties faithfully, Father. And Lord, we pray that in all that we say and all that we do, Father, that you would give us a mind and a heart to always give your name all the glory, all the honor, all the praise, because it is yours and yours alone. In Jesus' name, let every heart say, amen.
Thank you. Clerk Treasurer's report.
We did close on the GO bond / equipment bond. We closed on that last Friday. You guys have financials in Dropbox. I also put together some historical data for you to review. It's pretty enlightening, just the financial state of the city over the last few years. That's all I have today.
Thank you for that, Nina. Does anybody have any questions for Nina?
Sure, only briefly, could you enlighten us as to the financial state of the city?
Sure.
Over the last 3.5 years, the city has received an influx of cash of over $22 million. Not that we have that available to spend, but it shows how bad the city deficit actually really was coming into 2020. COVID wasn't a blessing, but because of federal dollars, it did help save the city. It helped us reduce temporary loans. anticipation warrants, costs interest, dormant old funds, canceling the checks, should have been done a long time ago. So that's 22 million. We've gone from, in 2020, when we came in, there was a outstanding temporary loan, which temp loans are always supposed to be paid back at the end of the year. You can do a resolution extending it to June. So it was extended to June, and it was over 3.2 million. To date, which we're going to take care of, we'll be able to repay our temp loans from 2022 in 2023 and not issue anymore. We've only had to issue or transfer 2.15 million to two funds. And then tax anticipation warrants, we only had to borrow 2.4 million for 2023. The highest it got was in 2020, well, issued in 2019 for 2020, and it was almost 10.7 million. So 22 million sounds like a lot of an influx cash, but it saved us financially. So,
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
She explained it well, thank you.
We have reports from standing committees.
Yeah, ordinance committee met today before the council meeting, as we do every month, reviewing a few ordinances, a scavenger's ordinance, solicitor's ordinance. We're going to be taking a look at the COVID policy and see if that needs to be updated or discontinued. I think that's it. Nothing, just a lot of discussion, no real decisions this month.
The Budget Committee has not met yet, but we will organize a meeting now that we have the equipment bond in place and finished. So we were waiting for that to take place, and it just recently happened. So the Budget Committee will be convening to discuss remaining ARPA funds and the use of that equipment bond. So we will have a pretty extensive report at our next meeting, next council meeting.
Thank you, Scott. So we have reports from city officials. Chief Wilkening?
Good evening, everyone. Our call volume for this last month, we are just about running about the same as we did for last year. We had 491 total calls, 363 of them were EMS. We did have 2 structure fires, and we did have 13 mutual aid calls come into the city and help us out. So that gives us a total for the year of 2,218 calls, 1,618 were EMS, and 15 fires. So far, we've had 40 mutual aid calls come into the city. Last year at this time, we had 130. So we are definitely making progress. As far as our personnel goes, we did have a firefighter start with us last week. His name's Michael Bimmerl, and we're proud to have him aboard. And we also just offered a position to another person on our list, and she's scheduled to go down and get a physical next week, yes. And she's also a paramedic, so it's wonderful. But that still leaves us with 3 open spots on the department. We are doing everything to start doing another list next month. Actually, tomorrow night we have an open house, a new hire open house at Station 3, starting at 5 o'clock. So if anyone's interested, tell them come on out. We're going to have everyone out there. All of our specialty teams are going to be represented and be able to answer questions for anybody who wants to have a career in the fire service. So, and then we do have 1 firefighter on workman's comp, but fortunately everybody else is at work. So, yeah. Our vehicle status is unchanged. Again, we're still just waiting on numbers for the ambulance chassis and as far as we know, the engine is still on track for early 2024, so. And then we haven't heard anything from the federal grants for our assistance to firefighter grant, so we probably won't hear from that for a while. As far as training goes last month, it was kind of a light training. We did our normal training, but we did get some new power tools, battery operated stuff that replaced our gas, so we've been working with that. And then in place of training, what we have been doing is every year we have to take all of the fire hose off of the engine and test it to make sure it's all service worthy. So that takes up quite a bit of time, so we usually set aside some time, usually in the spring, so everybody gets that stuff done. So that's all done. And then we also had our annual physicals the past few weeks, so that's all done in-house, and the company comes in and does the complete physicals, so that went well also. Community involvement, we continue to hand out gun locks. They're available at the police station and all three of our fire stations, so if anybody needs them, there's no cost to that. And of course, it's the end of the school year, so all the teachers are scrambling to do some stuff, so we had quite a few school tours, so we had plenty of company the past few weeks to keep us occupied when we weren't on call. So the firefighters did an excellent job of entertaining the kids and showing them what we do, and I don't know, police chief's not here, so I can't rip on him that they had more fun at the fire. Well, no, I can't rip on him. I'm still gonna rip. But yeah, the kids seem to have more fun at the fire station than they did at the police station. So.
Unless Tilly.
Yeah, well, you can't beat the dog, but. We also participated in the Vets Annual Memorial Ride, where they all ride cross-country, and we did help escort them through the city, and they had a program with their ROTC at the high school, so that was very nice. And then a couple weeks ago, it was EMS week, and we just want to say thank you to Northwest Health. They grilled out and had a big lunch and a big spread for all the EMS services, so it was nice and we appreciated it. I also want to bring up that this Friday is Relay for Life, and they are having a special lap this year at 7:30. They're doing what's called a first responder lap, and what that's for is to celebrate all the first responders that survived cancer, and to remember all of those who have passed. It's kind of special to us because we have had a few firefighters that have had bouts with cancer, and fortunately, all of them have come through. And right now, we have one firefighter, his wife, who also happens to be a first responder in Lake Station, and she's going through some pretty severe treatment right now herself. So it's something special. It's close to our hearts. And then I also just want to bring up it's also special because a couple days ago, we lost Officer Vanderpool from the Porter County Sheriff's, that he lost his battle with cancer, so, and he was a Portage resident, so. The last couple of things I have is I did have the honor of attending the Exchange Club meeting this last month, and they recognized the Firefighter of the Year, and I'm proud to say that our Firefighter of the Year was Rick Nikos. And Rick is very deserving of the honor. Just a couple of things that highlight his year. He helped orchestrate a training for us that we worked with Precision Towing to use their vehicles and things to help us in heavy extrication. And the day that we had one of the trainings was the horrific accident we had at Willow Creek and Lute, and we used just about everything that we learned that day on that call. So. And he was instrumental in bringing that to the department. And then also, with him and another firefighter went to its peer support. It's for people who are having emotional problems that go on emotional calls, and they help them with resources and things like that to help where to guide them. And of course, right after he goes to the class, then we had a horrific incident that several of our people needed it for. So we decided bad things are not going to happen in the city if we stop sending Rick to classes. So, and then also we did have the privilege of honoring Frank Gilbert on Memorial Day. Memorial Day happened to be the anniversary of Frank's death. It was 26 years ago that he died from his injuries that he sustained in an ambulance accident while he was treating a patient. And unfortunately and fortunately, Frank is our only line of duty death, so for the city. So hopefully he will be the only one. The fire department did have a small service at Gilbert Park. It was real nice remembering him. And then I do want to thank the city and American Legion Post 260 for allowing me to speak during the service. Frank was not only a firefighter, but he was also a proud veteran. So the anniversary of his death just happened to fall on Memorial Day, and we thought it was kind of fitting. And again, I appreciate being allowed to speak during that ceremony. That's all I really have. So unless you have any questions. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Randy, great job. And I do want to say that we will have a video coming out on our government page. We did video the Memorial Day service, so there will be excerpts of that event coming out in the next day or two. Randy did a great job speaking, so just watch for that on the Portage, Indiana government page, and we'll all be sharing it, so you can watch for it. Diane, do you want to talk about the parks?
Hello. So personnel, we are actually looking pretty good on hiring right now, so we only have a few spots to fill. As the kids are getting out of school, because school has ended, the beginning of the June is definitely going to be more of training, so please still be patient with us as the start of June is still teaching them how to do some things, and for many of our staff, it is their first job. So I just want to tell everybody we do have a lot of staff, but still be patient with us as we're training them. For maintenance, Perry's Park replacement slide was installed. It is complete. We had to replace the slide due to vandalism, but because of that, we also replaced a few other things and made it safer. So Perry Park is looking really nice. We still have a long list of maintenance things that need to be repaired, including playground equipment and signs. So they're all on the list, and hopefully they'll be repaired soon. Of course, with vandalism and normal wear and tear, there's still a lot of things on that list. So I just wanted to kind of make a note to the residents. We really appreciate when you let us know because we can't be everywhere. So as soon as you see something, please definitely tell us. The best way to tell us would be through email. So parks@portage-in.com, or you can find our information on our website in portageparks.com. But that's the best way to let us know. If it's on the trail, it would be super helpful for us to know where on the trail because that'll cut the time. So if it's in between McCool and another road, just mention that and that'll help us find the issue faster. But please tell us when something's wrong. Park programs. Well, opening day of the market started on Friday and it was well attended. There was a few food trucks that actually sold out of food, so good problems. And we want to make sure that we thank our first sponsor for the first free family movie night was First Community Mortgage. So they sponsored the movie, so we want to make sure we thank them. We also have sponsor banners up, so we definitely are looking for ways to help us provide these free programs to the city. On Saturday, we had our first Bounce into Summer. Over 150 kids came out to play for this awesome event, and we are definitely going to do it again next year because that was super fun. I don't know if anybody saw it, but the foam and the bounces, so it was great. We also had story time in the park. That is the first Friday of every month. This past one, it's the Porter County Public Library that comes out and reads to the children in our parks. And this past Friday, it was the theme was dogs. So then we, of course, invited Tilly to come meet all the kids, and that just made it even better. And I was like, look what I can bring. So Tilly, of course, made an appearance and made everything better. Lastly, for park programs, we did reinstate our Adopt a Park program. So our first park that has been adopted is Deer Trail Park. Monosol, which is right across the street there in Ameriplex, actually has adopted it. That means they're going to help us clean, and they're actually going to do some bigger projects like lay mulch in a much-needed trail. So as I'm sure I think Adriel probably mentioned, the Market Greenway, this park is going to get a lot more traffic based on where it's at. So we want to make sure it's looking great and bringing back that help from a really international company. It's pretty good. So, community events. We, of course, were part of the Memorial Day celebration because it was at Founders. It was a beautiful sunny day, and it was a great day for the splash pad to be open. So the splash pad is open 8 to 8 daily. Concerts in the park start tonight. They're at Woodland Park. They are every Tuesday, and the time is 6 p.m. It's about an hour-and-a-half program. Of course, these are free concerts, and donations are accepted. You could even bring items for the Portage Food Pantry and the Gabriel Horn Shelter. So if you want to bring donations, you can, but it is a free concert. Lastly, and I'm sure AJ will mention it too, there's a ribbon cutting tomorrow for the Market Greenway trail. So if you want to come out and join us there, it's going to be at Deer Trail Park, June 7th at 10 a.m., so tomorrow. Athletics, so soccer, softball, and baseball are in full swing, including Challenger Baseball, which started this past Sunday. If you can make it out to a game to support the players, we'd really appreciate it. They're going to be every Sunday at 5 o'clock in June. And I don't know if you know about Challenger Baseball, but it's an adaptive baseball program that's geared to individuals with intellectual or physical disabilities, or challenges, we should say, and is promoted by, or sponsored by the Real Life Community Church. And lastly, I don't want to say too much because it's personal, but we did have one of our Cal Ripken coaches have a medical emergency last night. So I just kind of want to send all these thoughts and prayers, and hopefully your thoughts and prayers towards him, his family, and his players. So, and that's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions for Diane? Great job, Di.
I would like to add on with the Challengers game, and like you had stated, if you have a chance to stop and see one of those games, I think the public watching the game is more touched than the players itself too, and to see how they've grown through the years of doing this, it's a remarkable event.
And it's right here,
Yes,
at the
so
downtown
thank
baseball
you.
field, so definitely check it out.
It's nice to see the kiddos on the ball field.
Oh, of course, and then Cal Ripken is Monday through Friday. Games are on Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays. Practices on Monday and Wednesdays, but it's a busy place. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Di. Darren?
Good evening, everybody. We had a long month of May. We had 679 calls, whether it was being with about the Memorial Day, if we were backed up, all kinds of questions for other departments, because they all come to the street department, and we transfer those. A lot of drive-ins. We had over 1,500 drive-ins just during that month. That's 1,200 of those were grass drops, you know, so people are coming in and utilizing our street department for this. Because we do not take the grass for sanitation, because as we always talk about tonnage and everything, and the water weight and all that, that adds to tonnage, you know, it gets expensive. We issued out 276 yard passes. We had 55 bulk charges, and we delivered 67 toters, new toters. During this time, we've also, we've been weed spraying. We had the machine out there hitting all the weeds, spraying the bridges, bridge guardrails, the bypass, going underneath the, under the underpasses on Samuelson and such. We started paint striping. We wanted to make it for Memorial Day to make it look nice around Founders Square, so we've hit the parking spots, put in lines and everything. We're gonna start paint striping up by Ameriplex. We've started there. I believe in training, so we're getting new guys in since we got that new paint striper. They'll eventually get to that, but they're gonna learn the old one as well. So we wanted to get them started. Limb pickup, we are still behind. We just had bulk week. We will get back onto limb pickup. We had that little microburst that came through the other day and knocked some trees down and limbs and stuff, and got to do a little bit of catch up again. And we're gonna start crack sealing. I know that we have, we'll soon have a report from AJ, I believe, with crack sealing here soon. We just got his report, and I love it. It helps the street department a lot. So, we would like to start on Central with our crack sealing part of it. And then we want to paint stripe that before the holiday, for July 4th. Make it look nice and stuff. New things that happened since you got my email for the report. Our Duralift bucket van has arrived. We had help from the schools here. We put up the banners for the marketplace today. We got help from them. We borrowed their, and then this one showed up, which is gonna be nice. The guys operated it and stuff. I will be having training. We're gonna call LTAP from Purdue, which is Local Technical Assistance Program. We go through them for chainsaw training and stuff. They're gonna come in and certify our guys. Make sure they're safe and make sure they run it right, you know. Let's see, yeah, we're gonna do the paint striping. We also are doing the CDL training, Class B CDLs for dump trucks and all that, since the new federal guidelines hit. I wanna see the guys and the women improve themselves, and it's gonna be a great help when it comes to winter time, when it comes to other drivers that are off. We have, you know, they're being trained on CNG trucks. It's a slow process, but that's an important thing to get in your mind, as far as safety and stuff and making sure you're doing everything. So a lot of training, and we're gonna get it done. Any questions?
Darren, I wanted to ask you, we still have compost down at the street department?
Yes, compost?
Someone
Yes.
had asked me about, do we deliver compost, or they have to come and get it, or how does that work?
They need to bring it because it wouldn't, you know, you'll get the call saying, well, why is there a city of Portage truck dumping in this person's stuff? You know, they have to come down and get it themselves. We do help like the community garden and stuff like that. So, yeah, they come down there, or they can make an appointment, because sometimes we'll have a loader up at the compost site as well. So they come down and get as much as they want. We go up to the compost site, we bring loads down as well. We also have mulch. You know, we just brought some more mulch down, and, yeah, just call for an appointment, call our number, or email, you know, PSD, and set up an appointment, so we make sure we have an operator there. If anybody wants to make appointments, just, anytime between 7 a.m. to 11, because they do lunchtime and transferring from compost sites and stuff, and 12:30 to about 1:30. So we give guys enough time to load up and then put stuff away later.
We do have Saturday hours, right?
Yes, we
Derek?
do have Saturday hours, 10 to 2. We do not have a loader operator there. He's just the yard guy. He'll take the count of people that come in. If they need yard passes, he'll give them paperwork to fill out, and later on they can bring it in to get their yard pass, because we have to make sure they're Portage residents and stuff. And then after that, you know, they take care of the grass and the trash or branches that are coming in, but we don't load at all.
So up at the compost site, Darren, if they want a large amount, they still have, there's no loader up there, right?
Right. You know, sometimes we'll
We
have
just
both
did that
loaders
during
out, one at
compost
the,
week.
pardon me?
We just did that during compost
Yes,
week, right?
yes, yes. If we do get enough calls or something, say another city or something calls, saying they want a lot, we'll send a loader up there if we have the operator. 'Cause usually we'll have one at the street department and try to get one up to the compost site. So. Yeah, all right.
Good job, guys. Tracy, I'm saving you till last, AJ, because I know you always have so much to tell us. So don't feel slighted over there. Tracy and I got our steps in today.
Yes, we did.
Good evening. So, other meetings, I mentioned we had our flow meters out, and of course, as soon as you put flow meters into the lines, the rain stops. There's been no rain, just a very small amount. We've been monitoring them, and there's been some issues with them, so we've moved some and adjusted some to get better readings. We are getting readings, we are seeing that there's some I&I. So it gives us an idea of where it's at and what we need to do. As far as the plant, everything's running good at the plant. I've been in lots of conversation with SRF. They've been calling with questions and priorities, and so it's hopefully looking favorable for that. We still won't hear until July. We did sit down with Commonwealth and look at a design and area for the solar, and we've decided to put it up by what we call P4, where it's the pad, because it took the less amount of trees. So we didn't have to take many trees down. We didn't want to be putting solar in and then taking half the forest down, because you're doing one thing good for the environment, and then you, on the other hand, would be doing something bad. So we've looked at it where there isn't a place where we're going to need to develop in the future, but works without taking trees down. Besides that, everything, the staff's been working really hard. We don't have a large flow because about 3 million still, because of not a lot of rain. But everything's been working great right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Okay, AJ, we're ready. Are you ready?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start by saying thank you for the well wishes that I received from many of you when I was out of the office with my surgical procedure. So I do appreciate, all the well wishes and thoughts and prayers. So thank you so much for that. Earlier today, we sent out a report from the department. I would like to highlight a number of the things that are included in the report. We're getting ready for a very busy construction season. Start with the Central Avenue West project. Utility relocations are complete. The contractor Dunnett Bay did let us know that they will be closing Central Avenue beginning June 14th. Early warning signs have been posted on site. Over the course of the next week or so, the detour route will be set and established so to move people around the construction area. The department has sent out notification to all the folks here, schools, et cetera, letting them know about the closure. There may come a question about the detour route, so it's better to hit it off in advance. Our consultant in partnership with INDOT, who is the project manager on the project, the detour route is Willowdale to Stone to Willow Creek. Why that is because of the condition of Mulberry, weight capacities of Mulberry over Willow Creek, and just generally the condition. So the posted detour route will be Willowdale, Stone to Willow Creek. And really what we're trying to do is push the through truck traffic or heavier traffic that might have been using Central Avenue on the more sturdily built roads in the city of Portage. Obviously, folks in Portage are gonna find that Mulberry is a lot shorter route. But that is the reason for why the posted route will be Willowdale, Stone to Willow Creek. The next phase of that project continues. Land acquisition, right-of-way acquisition is ongoing. The anticipated letting date of January 2024 is still the target and goal. As Diane mentioned earlier, we're going to be celebrating tomorrow the opening of the next segment of the Marquette Greenway Trail here in the city of Portage. That event will be taking place tomorrow, June 7th at 10 a.m. It will be held at the Deer Park Shelter at the western edge of the project. I hope you can make it out there tomorrow. We would encourage everyone not to park on Daniel Burnham and Ameriplex. We would ask that you use the parking lot at the Ironworkers Hall. There will be signs posted asking to go into that location. The Deer Trail parking lot will be blocked off and provided for those who would need more immediate access to the shelter for the ceremony. So please come out. It's going to be a special day. We're working to wrap up last year's paving projects. That's not very exciting, but it's paperwork that needs to be filled out and completed so that we can start next year's work. That next year's work started, or is going to start soon. The Board of Works awarded the first paving project of 2023 to Milestone Contractors in the amount of approximately $635,000. That project will include the repaving of Samuelson Road between US Highway 20 and Portage Avenue, Central Avenue between Samuelson and Scott Street, and there's a small patch along Airport Road. Darren mentioned earlier the crack ceiling project. We had our pre-installation meeting, let's say, today with Site Services. That project will be starting Monday, June 19th. They'll be starting the southwest side of the city and starting their work. It is a very aggressive project. Pavement maintenance is a very important part of how we maintain our streets in the city. That project is $390,000. So credit to you as the council for setting aside those monies in this year's budget, because maintaining and preserving that asset and those assets is very important. So congratulations to you all for making that possible. The Redevelopment Commission at their last meeting awarded the Portage Library Garden Project to Hassey Construction. I've been working closely with Attorney Witten on contracting documents. They've been forwarded to Hassey, and I would expect in the next couple of weeks we'll have a pre-construction meeting, schedule a groundbreaking, and start that project. So another wonderful addition, another investment that the Redevelopment Commission is making in the city of Portage. More paving. The Community Crossings Matching Grant Paving Project was opened. Bids were opened at the May 23rd Board of Works meeting. The project, the winner, the lowest responsible bidder was Milestone Contractors again. That project is just under $1.9 million. The project is Portage Avenue from McCool Road to Willow Creek, all of it. It's a project that we had to hold off for a number of years as the bypass was being built in McCool and Hamstrom. So it's long overdue. We know that. That one's going to be a disturbance in that part of the community. But again, long overdue, and we're really happy that we're able to move forward on that project in 2023. I didn't include it in the report, but I'm sitting back there with Ralphie Wilkerson from the National Park, and I was reminded, and I apologize for not including this in the report, but I'd like to thank Superintendent Commenda, Bob Dixon, and the construction crew with the field forces. They were able to assist our partners at the National Park in some grading work out at Portage Lakefront and Riverwalk so that the National Park Service could reinstall the ADA accessible mat that makes its way down to the beach at Portage Lakefront. Thank you to them, and I know that the National Park Service really appreciates that effort and work that was done by those guys. The Marquette Greenway Trail is a project we've been talking about for a long time. We've built a couple, I think we're on 3 segments in the city of Portage. A couple years ago, the Northwestern Indiana Regional Plan Commission received a federal grant for the construction of the balance of that trail through Northwest Indiana. A number of those projects are in the city of Portage. We had a walkthrough with NERC and their project manager, so that project is in full swing. I don't know if you're going to be able to take it up as an item on your agenda tonight, but the Redevelopment Commission in May did approve the interlocal agreement, and it was Attorney Witten's suggestion that due to the language of the agreement that really just generally referred to the city of Portage, that he felt it would also be good to have the concurrence of the Common Council on that agreement so that Mayor Lynch could sign that. That project is locally supported by the Redevelopment Commission, so it will be, the council is not asked to provide any funding toward the local match of that project. We've been working, the Redevelopment Commission, the city's been working for a number of years with the Northwest Indiana Regional Development Authority and the establishment of the Transit Development District. As you may know, that the district in Portage and Ogden Dunes was approved by the Senate Committee in late August of last year. They are moving forward. They've provided some documents to us for review. I had a meeting with their consultant at the end of May, and I'll soon be preparing final drafts to Mayor Lynch, the Redevelopment Commission, for consideration. I've heard initially that they'll be doing a lot of work here in the second half of 2023 on that Transit Development District stuff in anticipation of beginning to collect in the district beginning in 2024. Again, just a few projects. We will begin to get very busy here soon. We've seen a lot of petitions presented to the Plan Commission. Councilperson Hurst can speak to that. So we've been very busy at both the Plan Commission, Traffic Commission, BZA, and RDC. So again, as always, if you do have questions and would like more of a detailed report on anything specifically, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to share that, more of a deep dive into anything that we're working on. You
don't want to go through the rest of what's in your report? You don't want to?
No, let's stop. I can't keep up with Chief Volkening. What I would say is, no, thank you. There's a lot happening, and, my heartfelt appreciation to Sandy and Sonia and Dina in the office. I mean, we're a small crew, but there's a lot of good work that comes out of that department, and so, we're small, but a lot of really good things are happening there. So, appreciate the recognition and kind words.
AJ, between the 2 road paving projects and the crack sealing, it looks like it's about $3 million. That's more than we've ever spent, right, in 1 year? I can't remember a year where we've spent $3 million.
It's been a while, and why that is if we would look at any normal year, right, and we were only using or applying for the Community Crossings Matching Grant paired with the wheel tax, we were always in a window of around $2 million. To Councilperson Zilli's point, again, because you as the council were able to identify funds in the budget for additional paving work is why we're able to be more aggressive and really reinvest in our community's infrastructure, whether it's paving or crack sealing, sidewalks, et cetera. And if I can conclude, so I've been working closely with Clerk Treasurer Rivas on really then understanding where we are with the balance, understanding where we are with motor vehicle highway restricted, so to deploy some of the additional resources you all had set aside, and now it's just more a question of timing and balances and budgets. So I would expect I don't think I'm getting ahead of myself, Clerk Treasurer Rivas, but I would expect that there might be an additional project or two that would be out on the street for 2023 paving.
All good news, AJ.
A lot of good news.
And I just want to say, when you have a healthy redevelopment commission, unlike the one when we came in, I mean, we've worked very hard with AJ to not spend monies on frivolous things. Everything that we have done has gone back into the city and trying to develop our city. So I appreciate you being a taskmaster with the commission, because we get ideas, but we stay within our budget. And one thing I have to say, that this year, because the redevelopment commission had a little extra money, we were able to gift our fire, police, and parks, each department with $75,000 to get some things that they were wanting that they just couldn't fit into their budget. So this is what happens when you have a healthy redevelopment commission and you use the monies the way you're supposed to.
And if I could add one thing, Mayor, what it also does, right, is allows you, the redevelopment commission, to explore partnership opportunities. Many of the things I've talked about are really the direct result of partnerships. And whether it's a national park or our celebration tomorrow with the Marquette Greenway Trail, but we're working very closely with folks looking at redevelopment opportunities at the Open Air Pavilion. And we're working with a group right now who is very serious about a renewed redevelopment of the Garrison School there on the west side of the city. So again, having those resources available allows the city to begin entering those kind of conversations to identify the partnerships, so that these investments can be made all throughout the city.
Good stuff, AJ.
Absolutely.
It's all good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, did I miss anybody? Oh, Connor Phillips, our youth commission president. I'm sorry, Connor.
You're good. It's not like I got that much to say anyways. So during the month of May, first off, hello, everybody. Sorry, I almost forgot to start that. During the month of May, the Youth Commission paid a visit to the police station and got a nice tour of it. I'd like to thank the police chief. I wanted to thank him in person, but obviously he has more important duties to go, which is understandable. And then going forward, we're looking forward to possibly the 4th of July, trying to get a float together for that, potentially. Gonna have a meeting on that soon to get into the exact specifics. Again, we're still looking for new members. So if anybody knows anybody between 8th and 11th grade that'd be interested, love to have them. I think we have 6 more slots open. And I think that's about all I got. No, I know it's always brief, but something, I suppose. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, and just to let you know that our chief is not here tonight, the chief of police, because he's on a well-deserved vacation. So we miss him, but we are glad he's getting a break.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be when I said that.
Speaking of that, Mayor, would you mind if I point out one thing from Chief Candiano's report that he sent us? Yeah. So we noted that the Willow Creek Middle School SRO, that the Sheriff's Department had indicated a need to staff county schools, so Portage is staffing that SRO position, so that brings us up to 4 full-time SROs from Portage, 2 at the high school, 1 at Fagley, 1 at Willow Creek, and then continued rotating elementary SROs. So we're up to 4 full-time SROs in the schools.
That's awesome.
I would
Good
like to say
news.
on Connor's remark regarding the spots that are needed in the youth, it's definitely well needed, but it's exciting to see the few of them now that have graduated this year and the effect that it had on them.
Yeah, we lost like 6 members. Well, I say lost, but moved on.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, so moving on to new business, petition for vacation of public right-of-way.
Ferdinand, will you take that, please?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. Oh, I got it. Thank you. Petition for vacation of public way, streets, and alleys on behalf of the United States Department of the Interior, National Park Service, Indiana Dunes National Park. located in the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana. The U.S. Department of Interior National Park Service, Indiana Dunes National Park, in accordance with Indiana Code 367312, hereby petitions the city of Portage, located in Porter County, Indiana, for the vacation of public way, streets, and alleys at the following locations and descriptions. Exhibit A, maps showing streets and alleys within the subdivisions and parcels to be vacated. Do we have those maps available by any chance? They are all attached. Okay. And so is, for the public, would they be able to access those?
Well,
Is that
yeah,
like a
they're in the
website?
full or resolution, so Nina, I think you would have it, right? Yeah.
Okay. Descriptions. All public way, streets, and alleys located within the following subdivisions. Legal descriptions. Calumet Addition to East Chicago, Edgewater Beach, Edgewater First Edition, Fairview, Fulton Road, Herndon's Lakefront Addition to East Chicago, Herndon's Lakefront Addition subdivision of Block 3, Lakefront Addition to East Chicago, Vineland, and Walker's Addition to East Chicago. B, any portion of public way, streets, and alleys that lie within the Porter County parcel 6402361001.000-016, owned by the National Park Service, whose legal description is east 27 1/2 acres of the west 62 1/2 acres of the northwest quarter of 3437-7 north of the Indian boundary line. Number 3, purpose of request. All of the streets and alleys petitioned for vacation lie within the national park boundary, and all the land adjacent to these streets and alleys is under sole ownership of the national park. All improved streets and alleys have been demolished and removed. Because there are no residences or other buildings being served by these streets and alleys, no legitimate purpose can be served by retaining these roads. These vacations will not hinder growth or orderly development, do not cause any inconvenience or difficulty to other landowners in accessing their lands, will not hinder access to church, school, or any other public building or place, and will in no way hinder necessary use of public ways by any landowner or residents in the general area. Number 4, names and addresses of all owners of land that abut the property to be vacated, blank. And this is courtesy of Paul Labovitz, Superintendent, Indiana Dunes National Park, Porter, Indiana.
Motion to adopt.
No. So, Madam Chairman, would you please, or Madam Mayor, would you please open
Yes.
a public hearing for folks wishing to speak for or against this petition? As the statute requires, we have a public hearing within 30 days.
So I will now open the public meeting. Public hearing, is there anyone here to speak in favor of? Is anybody here to speak in favor of this petition? Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. My name is Rafi Wilkinson. I work for Indiana Dunes National Park, and so I'm here to represent the park. This motion actually was carried out, believe it or not, 19 years ago by the city and the park. The council approved it, and unbelievably, it made it to Porter County, and it did not get filed correctly. So it sat there in limbo. Some other things changed, some additional, at the time there was a couple homes still in there. That is all gone. But the main reason for this is, again, it's within the boundary, it's at West Beach. And it would turn out that, and the reason I know about this is that the Marquette Greenway Trail is going through there. And where it needs to go, right at our entrance road, it's National Park, then it's Portage, then it's National Park, then it's Portage. And so this would just kind of make that whole block of land there uniform within the national park. Like I said, it was passed 19 years ago, and it was somehow just got hung up and nobody noticed for 19 years. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Just a brief question. So we're talking about the land at the very northern part of the city at the very base of Lake Michigan?
So exactly right. So if you were to drive up County Line Road north of US 12, and our entrance road veers off to the right to go into West Beach. Starting there, all the way to the lake was these 10 very small subdivisions with some of the roads improved, some of the alleys improved, some of them, most of them never improved upon. And we own all, the national park owns all the land in between. There are no roads or alleys left in there. We actually, right or wrong, manage the land and have, putting it back to nature. And so this is really just cleaning house to make this a contiguous parcel of the national park now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the petition? Hearing none, is there anyone who would like to speak against the petition? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against the petition? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against the petition? If not, the hearing is closed.
Madam Mayor, what the statute requires is that this be adopted by way of ordinance, so
Make a motion to suspend that.
you cannot do that. So I have reviewed the ordinance that was referenced back from '04, actually. So there are some changes, and I started working on that today, having looked at this. So what I would suggest is, at our next meeting, I will have an ordinance available for the council to review or in anticipation of that meeting and act upon. I think that's what the statute will require, and I think that'll work.
Thank you.
So then, okay, thank you, everyone. We have a street light request. Deb. Oh, I've got 2 agendas I'm looking on, I apologize. Okay. We have the interlocal cooperation agreement regarding the Marquette Greenway.
Brian, please.
Yeah, this is the issue that was just mentioned by AJ. So that's what this is in regards to. It's an interlocal cooperation agreement for the purpose and utilization of design, engineering, right-of-way, and construction services for municipal benefit connected to the construction of the Marquette Greenway. I'll let the record reflect this has been read in its entirety. A motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, just briefly, Madam Mayor, so this was in fact sent to the RDC. They are providing the local match, as AJ referenced. But since NERC sent this over with the city of Portage as the party in interest, I thought it necessary for this body to approve it.
And the RDC also approved it at our last meeting.
Are there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Now, we have a street light request.
Yes, we do, Madam Mayor. Thank you. So at the Board of Works meeting, I requested that a street light be approved at 2109 Crispin Road. There is a pole at that residence. I have spoken to the resident, and they're very much in favor of erecting the street light at that location on the pole. So I'm asking the council to approve that this evening.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
This is it, Scott. You don't get any more.
2 lights, Scott.
No more A's left. I can always borrow one.
Yes, yes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Resolution 23-02, Deb?
Scott, would you read that?
Yes. Transfer resolution 23-02. An emergency resolution providing for the transfer of appropriations for several departments of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, for the 2023 budget and hereby presented to the Common Council for their action and passage pursuant to IC 6-1.1-18-6. Whereas certain extraordinary conditions have developed since the adoption of the existing annual budget for the year 2023, and it is now necessary to transfer appropriations into the different categories than was appropriated, and it is now necessary to transfer appropriations into different categories than was appropriated in the annual budget for the various functions of the several departments to meet the appropriate emergencies. Section 1, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, that the expenses of the city government, the following appropriations are hereby transferred and set apart out of the funds herein named for the purpose specified, subject to the laws governing the same, such sums herein transferred unless otherwise adjusted by law, stipulated by law. Section 3, where it has been shown that the certain existing appropriations have unobligated balances, which will be available for the transferring as follows. ARPA Fund number 2403, Department 000, from other services and charges, 300 for the sum of $1,650,000. To Department 300, Street Department, to personal services for the same sum, $1,650,000. Let the record reflect that this resolution has been read in its entirety.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Nina, do you want to explain that a little bit?
Nina, would you clarify that for everyone?
So this is what I had mentioned a little bit earlier about repaying temporary loans. So this will make the MVH fund whole, and the deficit won't be kicked around any longer. And I will say, it's not like it was a recent deficit. This has been kicked around for decades. And then in 2020, when we established, because it was supposed to be established in 2018, the MVH restricted, which half of the MVH distributions have to go to the restricted fund for paving basically only, it just made matters worse.
But this is going to fix it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We have Resolution 2303, cancellation of outstanding checks.
Colin, please.
Certainly. Resolution number 23-03, a resolution canceling outstanding checks, whereas pursuant to IC 5-11-10.5, all checks outstanding and unpaid for a period of 2 years as of December 31st of each year shall be declared canceled. Whereas clerk treasurer shall enter the amounts so listed as receipt to the fund or funds upon which they were originally drawn and remove the checks from the list of outstanding checks. If the fund from which the check was originally drawn is not in existence or cannot be ascertained, the amount of the outstanding check shall be receipted into the general fund of the city. Therefore, be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Portage do hereby cancel the outstanding warrants listed here. There are checks totaling, oh no, there's two different amounts here. $8,475.13, and then another total for $1,310.
So it's $9,785.13. The reason for the separation is because some of it goes to the park.
Yep. Let the record reflect this has been read in full. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a
Nina,
motion and a second. Are there any further questions?
Nina, could you walk through this real quick?
Sure. So every year, the city should cancel, it statutorily is required to cancel any outstanding checks from 2 years prior to December 31st of the previous year. So that's all that it is. And then the funds will the checks will be receipted into the general fund.
And
Or
in
the park fund.
most of these cases, checks were reissued. It's just these are the old outstanding checks that were never cashed.
So we have a motion and a second. Are there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We have the introduction and adoption of ordinances. First reading ordinance 23-08.
Gina, would you please?
An ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Chapter 90, Article 5, of the City of Portage Municipal Code entitled Zoning Map. Be it and hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana, as follows. Section 1, this ordinance shall amend Chapter 90, Article 5 of the City of Portage Municipal Code and accompanying zoning map in the following manner. The zoning shall be changed from OC, Office Commercial, to R2, Low Density Residential, property commonly known as 6439 Central Avenue, and which is described in Exhibit A. Section 2, conditions, precedent, none. Section 3, conflicting ordinances. Any ordinance or provision of any ordinance of the City of Portage in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance is hereby repealed. Section 4, severability. The invalidity of any section, clause, sentence, or provision of this ordinance shall not affect the validity of any other part of this ordinance, which can be given effect without such invalid part or parts. Section 5, effective date. The ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and adoption by the Common Council and approval by the Mayor of the City of Portage, Indiana.
Okay, this is still a first reading, so moving on, ordinance 23-09.
Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore, Section 1, be it ordained, resolved by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to laws governing the same. 2209 local options income tax, supplies 200 series, 150,000, other services and charges 300 series, 150,000, total for lit fund 300,000. Let it reflect, it's been read in its entirety.
Since this is a first reading, no one can ask any questions.
Can
we
act
Yeah, no, but
Have you had your?
But can we?
You can, but we haven't done the advertisement yet.
Oh, you
so
haven't.
we have 10 days.
okay, thank you, Nina.
Okay.
Nina, could you just quickly explain what this is?
So we received our supplemental lit distribution. We received our supplemental lit distribution. Typically, it's about $200,000. This year, it was over $738,000 off the top of my head. We received that on the 2nd. So the budget committee decided that they wanted to send to the full council to give the park $300,000 of that supplemental lit distribution.
Diana will be able to do some good work with extra money.
Then in this one, the dormant fund, if you guys wanted to, you could suspend, but it doesn't matter to me.
Right, ordinance 2310, dormant funds. Deb?
Ordinance -2310, an ordinance deeming funds dormant and authorizing the transfer of dormant fund balances to the general fund. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, finds that the purposes for the funds listed herein are no longer in effect and is now dormant. And whereas in accordance with IC 36-1-8-5, whenever the purposes of a tax levy have been fulfilled and an unused and unencumbered balance remains in the fund, the fiscal body of the political subdivision shall order the balance of the fund to be transferred to the general fund or rainy day fund of the municipality. And now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, does hereby declare the funds listed herein to be dormant and authorizes the clerk treasurer to close the fund and transfer the remaining balance to the City of Portage's General Fund 1101. That total is $58,203.96. Let this reflect it's been read in its entirety.
Motion to suspend.
Second.
We have motion and a second to suspend. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have motion and a second to adopt. Are there any questions?
Yes. Nina, would you explain where this came from, please?
Sure. So a lot of the funds don't have any balances, so they're, it just cleans up the fund report. Others, they have, I mean, for example, there's a 2004 fire grant fund that has $1. In the past, the city had one fund for grant funds, and it was almost like by appropriation, so it was really hard to actually see what those balances were. That's not how it's supposed to be. Each grant is supposed to have its own fund. Same with donation funds. Each fund, or at least each department, has to have its own. So you could see, actually, there's a donation fund that you couldn't track what it was for. It was just kind of lingering. Where's that one at? It's $9,070.08. So that would just get shifted all over to the general fund, and it'll clean up the fund report.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have petition, remonstrances, and public input at this time. Anybody wishing to speak to the council on any subject, please come forward to the podium over there. State your name and your address, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Ryan Snarich. I live at 3009 Angelina Street. Last week I contacted City Hall in an effort to get a copy of the 2 ordinances that were proposed last week at the special City Council meeting, and I was unable to get those after multiple attempts, and I was assured I would get them on Thursday. So I was wondering if it would be possible to get a copy of those, as well as every other ordinance that was discussed tonight and generally by this council.
I can email you a FOIA request form.
Okay, yeah, in the past I filled that out. It just took several months for me to get a response, so.
It's required to be filled out, so we could track it.
Okay, so it's okay if they're not posted online beforehand or anything?
They don't have to be.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Danielle Balick, representing Portage Recovery Association, and Jake Monhoots behind me. We've come in front of you. Thank you for agreeing for us to, we had a lack of communication, so thank you for that, for allowing us to come speak in front of you tonight. I did send you all a letter earlier this afternoon. I believe you all have received that. I did give everyone a copy as well in the packet. It just identifies exactly, I was able to gain a copy of the distributor settlement agreement, which is a 160-page document, I believe. It's a lot of pages. And there's 2 parts in there, so I highlighted where I believe we fit in Section A. There's Section A and Section B, and I highlighted where we believe we fit in there. On the letter, I also highlighted what we pay in rent, garbage, NIPSCO, water, and then the total for the year, okay? We're altering what we asked for because we understand there's other things that need to be done, and we 100% understand that. So our goal is to purchase a building. I think we've spoke of that. We've said that. We know what it'll take for us to purchase a building. Number one, having to find the right building, so on and so forth. We know what it costs us to stay where we're at. We have to sign a 3-year lease in order to keep the lower rent, which is only a 2.5 increase versus a 3.5 increase, whatever it is. We have to sign a 3-year agreement, which we spoke of the last time we spoke. So we're asking for the 3 years as part of the opioid settlement. I have included in the other 4 pages, so we had a switch of officers in April. And at the end of that, and there's 2 co-treasurers, and unfortunately my co-treasurer wasn't able to get me everything today because he was unavailable. So I attached the last report that we had from where our year ends. So we have that, as well as a treasurer's report from January and February that itemizes all of our expenses. 7th tradition is what we consider is how the club earns income. So every meeting passes a basket, those funds then go to the building, and that's basically our income, as well as any event we have. And most everything's run by donations, and I must inform you that everything's 100% volunteer. So all the time that Jake does, myself, Jim, who's here, is all 100% volunteer. None of us get paid for anything, okay? And then we have a savings account, as well as our wall savings. Jim Grader, as well as a few of our other members, came up with this wonderful idea to have a wall. It's like a gratitude wall, and you can purchase a plaque, and we can make, how much money off of that? 42,000?
If we were to sell, so we have like this brick wall that it can be taken down, so everywhere we go, we can take this thing with. So if like a family or a friend member,
Thank you.
you can put their name up there, but if we sell the whole wall, it pays for a whole year of rent.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, and it's already profited, you know what I mean? We paid for it and it's already, so it's all up, so it's cool.
Yes. So that's what the wall account is. So I just wanted you to understand where those funds come from. And any extra expenditures that we need, we need a freezer right now because we're down a freezer. We will purchase out of that. So that's kind of like our extra things that we don't have budgeted, we use for that. And then I included a copy of our current Centier as of today, as of this moment, the amount of funds that we have in the bank right now. So you all can see exactly. And anything else you'll be interested in knowing about us, we're more than happy to share. Any questions?
So if the council remembers, the last time they were here, we had asked for them to show us their budget and their income and expenses. So that is why she's here, to do that.
Mhm. We did attempt to contact you, Dan. Jake did twice. He left 2 messages. We had heard nothing back. We didn't want to just come and knock on the door because we have busy lives too. Yeah, that's more like, we'll see you here, so it's okay.
So if we were to, I think it's 109,000, would you be okay if we did that over 3 years, like 3 payments? Because we only have so much in cash because it's a settlement over
Right.
30 years, or
Yes.
15 years.
Yes.
So,
I think that we have to sign a 3-year contract, and then I think we can pay annually, is how that works. Yeah. Mhm.
So what you're saying, Colin, is that we could sign an agreement with this organization that the 109,620 we would commit to $36,540 for each of the 3 years?
correct.
So in essence, you're getting a 3-year, you would be
Yes.
potentially getting a 3-year commitment.
Absolutely, because then we could prepay all of our bills.
Yeah, so the landlord, he really works with us, so he's pretty cool when it comes to, if we were to give him lump sums, he's able to knock off 5%, 10%, et cetera, you know, so to get the payments to pay him up, it saves us, it saves everybody, you know what I mean? He'll knock off certain percentages because we're 501c3, and we're able to have a tax write-off for him. So if we give him lump, he can write off 20%, it saves us. And we feel with this too, that gives us 3 years. I mean, Portage is in our name, so we want to stay in the city, obviously. But it gives us 3 years to save up everything we possibly can, fundraise, have events, and then potentially build, buy, locks us in the same place. And, you know, it's longevity I'm looking at, like at 100,000. I think it can save eventually 100,000 people are affected by this, family, friends, relatives, future children that aren't born yet. You know, this goes a long, 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 long way.
Have you factored in any increases, or are you sure
That is with factoring in the increase.
Okay, so
In
you've
our
already
lease,
looked at that.
It's
I
a
balanced.
5-year rolling lease with 3% increases every year.
Right, but so like NIPSCO, water, garbage, those will
Yes.
increase though.
Yes. Well, so here's the thing. We pay $618 a month because I have like a budget, but the actual average last year was $480 a month, I believe. So, yes.
So Dan, in terms of next steps, we could draft up a grant agreement, I think?
We could, but I think we need to review this, but yeah.
Sure.
that's good.
We absolutely appreciate the consideration and all the patience and the extra support that we've received. Portage Recovery Association has received extra support from people in the city, people from the council, and we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I know Chief Candiano is close to making his recommendation for this monies also. So I would just like to see some sort of determination on whether we're going to turf this to Attorney Whidden or Budget Committee, or if Mayor's office will handle it, just so it doesn't fall through the cracks.
So I will say that in July, we have to write a $6,500 check. We have to write that to hold us till October 1. And October 1 is when our lease starts again. So just so you're aware that what we will be paying out.
I'm just curious, I'm sure you serve residents of other cities as well,
We do.
and they're getting settlements just like we are. Have you contacted other cities?
We have
to-
not contacted
Yeah.
other cities. I live here. Jake lives here. I would say 85% of our people that come to the Portage Recovery Association live in Portage.
Yeah, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
like if, like Lake Station or Hobart,
No.
if they're not offering anything,
Yeah,
and you do
no,
have
so
people coming in.
we will, now the county is, as of right now, we are on possibly to receive $10,000, but that's for something separate to the, well, part of PRA, we're looking to open a bar, and they are going to give us the first year for that. So the bar will be located in the same strip where we're at. That's Jake's baby there. He can explain more, because I'm like, I'll come by, but I can't do everything he's going to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, it'd be like, just like an internet cafe, kind of. So bar is just something I think is cool.
That's awesome.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing about there, we looked online, there is no so bar anywhere trademarked.
No.
And I just think, like, so bar, no bar, something like that, like, just have lights and TVs and
That's
loud music, and
awesome.
like goofs like me, you know, and we can come watch the game, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we'll start
Exactly.
being open on weekends, and that'll be all volunteer in the beginning, because once again, they'll give us 10,000, which is just gonna cover the rent and like the beginning supplies for that entity, which will still be a non-for-profit under the Portage Recovery Association.
Real quick, the goal of that would be, we would have the only place, we'd be open from 8 AM basically till 10 at night, 7 days a week. That's the long-term goal for that facility. So to have that open with both organizations, I mean, that's just awesome for people that if they need anything, they can just show up, which there's nothing like that anywhere close. Fort Wayne's the closest one that would be something we're trying to build like that.
Nina, I know a couple months ago, we received some random, or I received, I don't know why I received it, a random email about more potential funds. Did we ever hear anything more about that from like CVS, Walgreens, Walmart?
Yeah, I heard a weird rumor about that too.
Yeah, it looks like there's another 1 or 2 settlements coming. Indiana's part of it. They sent me the notice and got it over to Nina, but it didn't say anything about a potential amount. So there are potentially more funds coming to fund some of the work that we're considering on the city side as well.
I agree with Brian that, you know, if,
Well, the Budget Committee could take this up and work with Attorney Whitten on drawing up the right document to try to get something on our July agenda for the council.
so when is your $6,000 payment due?
July 1. We can pay that, and, you know, we can figure it out with ourselves, right?
So we have enough to cover all of our bills for 15 months. We're not in any danger of
Okay.
closing. This is just to have an opportunity to grow permanently, period. You know, our lights are gonna stay on, the garbage is gonna get picked up, the water's not getting turned off, people are showing up. This just builds our future permanently in this city where we've moved 8 times in 30 years. You know, to have a 3-year plan where we can work strategically, like knowing that this would be coming, we can work strategically with possible churches. We've met, Jim he's a madman. He's over meeting with churches left and right, talking with you, name it. And there's great opportunities available, but as you say, Madam Mayor, money talks. And I think that to have something from the city in paper and writing to go to talk to a guy or someone at Home Depot or Menards or a contractor or someone that's just like really nice, to have something backed up, it's smoother. You know what I mean? Here's where we're coming from. This is what we can offer. So until we have that, it's just pay the bills, build back up, pay the bills, build back up. And it just gets, it's tiring, it's hard sometimes, you know.
So I'll reach out to the budget committee. We can talk this through, talk with the clerk treasurer and get some stuff formulated.
And it looks like there's another 10 or 20 billion dollars in settlement money coming from Walmart, Walgreens,
We'll take that
CVS.
too, if
Yeah.
you're-
Not for us.
Who knows when?
In total.
There's a lot of things brewing, you guys, so no. But thank you again, we appreciate that. And then, so one of you will just contact us then? We'll hear from you. Awesome. Thank you so much for the consideration, and we look forward to helping the city of Portage get some recovery. You know, we definitely need it. Thank you.
Thank you
Let us
guys
know
for
when
doing
your
what you do.
solar opens.
We will.
Yeah,
We're
that's
looking for,
exciting.
I think we're looking.
Are you gonna have like a little ribbon cutting?
We are, so since it will be under the Portage Recovery Association, we are part of the Portage Chamber of Commerce. So yeah, we'll definitely do all that stuff. You know, I happen to know a business development person, so she might know how to set that stuff up. Thank you all very much.
Oh,
are
thank you
so
guys for
welcome.
doing what you do.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other matters to come before the council? Does anybody else have anything they would like to bring to the council at this time? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for your time.